In this lesson, we're going to talk about what is known in computer programming science as data structures. And we're going to give you your very first data structure. Now, data structures are a way of organizing information, and each one makes certain operations easier or faster. Our very first data structure that we're going to cover in this course is list. And it is pretty much what it sounds like. It is a list of information. Now, in other languages, they might call these arrays, but it's list in Python. Let's talk about how to create a list. The most straightforward way is with square brackets, and each item in the list is separated by a comma. So here we have odds, which is 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. And then we created a list of strings called names, and again, square brackets with each string separated by a comma. Now, if you print names, it'll come back with what you used to create it. So it's the same thing you put in. Now, the purpose of a list is usually to do something to every item in the list, or to go through the list and selectively do things to items. So we're going to give you your next flow control, and it's a for loop, and it is made for going over every item in a list. Here I've got names, which we created above, and I generally do a plural name for the list, and then when I loop over it, I'll use the singular version of that to kind of keep it straight. So for name in names, and what that's going to do is it's going to go through every item in the list and assign that item to the variable name while you're inside the loop. And you end it with a colon. Then you have your indentation, like all your other flow control. And here we're just going to print name with that string function title on it so that it uppercases every individual word in the name string. And so it prints out Bob, Bill, Susie, Sarah. So it goes through and it loops one time over each item, puts it in name, and then we take that name and we print it out with title being run on it. Now I'm going to go through common mistakes you could make while doing a loop. One of them is you don't indent the line after the loop. So this gets caught pretty quickly by the Python interpreter, and it's got a pretty good error message, indentation error. It expected an indented block. So that pretty much tells you what went wrong. Now, the next mistake that you can make is to forget the colon. So I did for name and names. I left out the colon. This one, it does say it's invalid syntax. I feel like it should say, hey, you're missing a colon, but it doesn't. So you're going to have to train yourself to recognize that. Another mistake is you want to do two things, but you only indent the first statement and you do not indent the second statement. So here I wanted to go through and I wanted to take every name and make it upper and make it lower. But what happens is this line is indented, this line is not. So it loops here and then it leaves the loop, and the very last one, which was Sarah, will go to lower, and that was not what I meant to do. So down here, I've got it correctly put in where I print both upper and lower for each name in the loop. Another mistake is maybe you only want to do something after you've gone through the loop. And if you indent that statement, it will run it every time you go, for every item in the loop. So here, instead of printing all the names at the end, I'm actually printing it every time I uppercase something. So the way to correct that is to move that back and unindent it so that it runs after the loop runs. So now let's put this to good use here. We're going to create a list from user input. Now this is a string method that I didn't show you in the previous lesson because we hadn't done lists yet. So for input, I'm going to ask, give me a comma separated name list of fruits. So when that happens, it's going to ask me down here, and I'm just going to go, apple, pear, banana. I'm just doing a little crazy capitalization here, and let's just do grape. Here we go. So I assign the user input to answer, and it's going to have just a solid string with the fruits and commas and spaces in it. So I'm going to split that string everywhere there's a comma. It's going to stop there, and it's going to put everything before that into an item in the list. So when you print it out here, let's just print out fruits, and we're just going to do 3 this time. So when you print it out, it has split them, and you see there's some spaces in there, but each place it's taken and made it into an item in the list. Then I'm going to loop over that list, and I'm going to lowercase it, and I'm going to strip out the white space so that I end up with nicely normalized strings of lowercase fruit with no extra spaces or nonsense characters on either side of it. Now again, you need to go practice this. Go back, create some user input, ask them for a list of items, a comma-separated list of items. You need to split it. You need to strip out the characters, lowercase it, uppercase it, whatever you want to do, but practice, practice, practice. And lists are super important in Python. They're used everywhere, and you want to get comfortable, and taking input and turning it into lists, especially string input, is super important as well. So go practice both of those things, and we're going to continue showing you how to work with lists, both in loops and individually pull items out as you need them. Subscribe if you want to keep getting more content like this. I'm going to keep making these videos, both beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Smash that like button so I can help more people, and I'll see you in the next one.